She woke from a nightmare. Frankenstein's monster was coming for her again. She was 6 years old and she was at her parents' front window. It was the dead of night. She should have been in bed, but there were unseen monsters in her room. A lot of them. Up to the house Frank stalked. The bolts in his neck sizzled with blue electricity. God, he was so tall. She couldn't move from the window. Frank was coming. He was going to get her. He was so close. She saw the festering stitches down his face and neck. His stare never strayed. Frank knew where she was. There was no sense in running away because he would find her every time. She hadn't had this dream in a long time. Now she laid awake, listening to what woke her up. Her roommate was talking on the phone. Blah, 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 except she heard every word her roommate spoke. This seemed to go on for hours. She tossed and turned to no relief. She could have told her roommate she was loud, but there was something comforting about her voice. No, not her voice. It was the words. "Come with me to the store," her roommate said, "and take the baby." This seemed to go on for hours. She tried to watch television, but she couldn't focus. When her roommate finally hung up, all she could focus on was the television. "Thank you, Mr. Martin," said a woman in a movie. "Although why you wanted to see me is beyond me." Go to sleep, she told herself. She slept, dreaming forgettable dreams this time. When she woke up again, she was hungry, but she wanted to get her jog in first. If she didn't and instead opted for breakfast, then she wouldn't be motivated enough to get going. Hell, she was hardly motivated as it was. On her way out, she heard her roommate on the phone again. She was in her bedroom with the door closed, but her voice still filtered out. "It's bullshit," her roommate told whomever she was talking to. "Looks like a mosquito flew in front of the camera." She hoped her roommate would be gone by the time she came back. Lately, she couldn't stand the woman. It wasn't only the talking on the phone that irked her, it was everything else. From the trampy clothes she wore to work and after hours, to the way she chewed her food, everything her roommate did was a cause for strangling. If only living alone was cheaper. She breathed while she stretched on the front porch. She made sure her butt faced her house as she bent over. Her next-door neighbor always checked her out the few times she ran into him. The guy was beyond creepy. Then there was the teenage boy whose name she didn't know, who lived across the street with his grandmother. He would just stare and stare, even the one time she waved at him. They weren't out, but she did hear voices from up the road. "You're moving it." "No, I'm not." She launched off the porch and kept to the sidewalk. She couldn't help but catch snippets of her neighbors' conversations as she ran. In fact, she listened for them. A man outside 939 was on his phone. "A new one will have to wait until payday," he said. "Not like we watch it much anymore with the power outages." She thought that cell phones were the best and worst invention man ever created. She was amazed that such a device could bridge communication gaps, but at the same time act like a crutch that weak people obsessed over. There were more important things in life. Any example escaped her, but she knew there had to be something worth breathing for out in the wide world. Or maybe there wasn't. She tried not to dwell on this horrible potential truth, but she was a realist. Life had no worthwhile purpose. Work, collect your pay, spend your pay, repeat. It wasn't just the American way, it was the world's way. And if you didn't have enough money, well, spend what you don't have. There was no reason not to anymore. Bailouts and handouts were just as common as cell phones. She wished she was the only one on the planet, isolated, but content. This was a frequent wish of hers, but one she knew would never come true. Everyone, despite their distance, had to remain connected to one another. It was life, but was it worth living for? Was that faceless connection necessary? Did it fit into the world's way? She passed a white van at 9:36, keeping alert as she did. She had a quick thought that the side door would fling open and some blonde troll would snatch her off the street. At 9:33, a man and woman were arguing. The woman held a baby close to her, covering its ears with her hand. "When are you coming back?" she asked the man. "I don't know. When I get my first paycheck. I guess. Leave me alone." 9:32 was an old lady with bright red hair standing in her yard. She was looking at the sky. "We're okay, Bert," 9:32 said. "We didn't do nothing wrong." 9:28 had two kids playing at the side of the house. They were digging in a sandbox. She had the feeling that nothing good would come out of that, so she sped up. 9:24, one man was watering his lawn while talking to another man. They both hushed as she went by. They were obviously staring at her butt. They picked up their conversation when she was one house away. "His name is Curdy. He has pretty hair." "He's a boy. Boys don't have pretty hair." She almost stopped when she saw the numbers on the next house. 514? To go from 900 to 500. She hadn't been out that long. She distinctly remembered just passing 924. She kept moving forward to see how the next numbers fell. The next house didn't have numbers, but the one across from it did. 941. She stopped. She looked back the way she came. In the distance, she could make out her house. She counted the numbers off. What should have been 920 was 940. That wasn't her house. No, she was on the same street. She passed those houses on previous jogs. They could not have been numbered like this before. Maybe she hadn't noticed before. "I would have noticed," she said out loud. She wanted to keep going. 2 houses up, a woman was heading to her car. She jogged to the house where the car pulled out of. 640B? She kept going. She had to. As she went, she noticed more and more people were outside their houses. Some talked to each other. Some talked to themselves. No one was silent. "I already told you that I'm taking your sisters for ice cream." "But Ma, enough of that. Now go on and play with your sisters." "I don't want to." "Bucky, they always dress me up like a girl. Be glad that you have sisters. Go on." 999. "Amber, we're going out to dinner later if you want to come." 418. "Help us. We're in hell. Ross K. Help us." 5113782WV.
"Don't push that button."
H49. Water in the form of glacial ice presses on the Earth's crust. When the ice melts, the water retreats and the crust springs up over the course of years and years. Now, an interesting side effect is that gravity gets weaker whenever this occurs. The crust gets farther from the center of the Earth, and the farther one gets from the Earth's center, the less one feels gravity's pull. The evidence in this case suggests no cause for immediate concern. The rate of secession is so minute that danger levels will occur roughly 30,000 years. "I'll dump this. Why don't you bring the bags in?" Where did all these people come from? How could they have so much to say? She did too, she thought, but she knew no one but her cared. She tried to turn back around and go home, but the spoken words drew her further down the street, like the scent of cooked meat to a starving dog. 65187949884. Now's a bad time, Eric. 234 UNDWEIUNN. How about it? That old song about easing down the road stuck in her head. The chorus, specifically, was background noise to the dialogues that etched themselves into her soft brain. Down the road. Fuck you. Backwards in time, forward in space, standing still, all sides blurring. No horizon in sight. The world was too perfect. Bleed out now. Swinging low. Stripped them of their names. They belong to me now. 7 Flitty Fork. She didn't see the house number anywhere, but she knew she was correct. Next was 4. She liked the purple flowers in the front yard. She heard a woman from inside talk about smoke-inzas, whatever they were. 62 purple. Cow seed mothers. It's all blending in her head, tearing her precious grate to shreds. Food. Word. Processing. It didn't make sense, this change of tense, words. All words, no voices, just words, no meaning. There doesn't have to be meaning. What did she say? What did she say? What did she say? A little turtle crawled across the road to get to the other side. It made it, but the road did not. Hanging high, swinging low, when he'll rot, no one knows. Dig, 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 can you hear it now? Amid the noise, the voices, the choices we can't make because they're already made for us. Fuck. What? Spend my money on this shit? 9 million plus 1. Frank's coming. Like it's so warm, like his breath. I can't feel the words anymore, she thinks. Thought, rot, bakula, spray, nonsense. It was all nonsense, meaning nothing to anyone but the speakers. 8,277 was quiet. But she made up a conversation its owners could have. Hi, hello. Don't talk to me now. I'm listening to you. Hey, yeah, I'm over the edge. Keep going. The houses are all part of one long house. Not right. I might get marked down for this. Jiff, why can't I feel my feet? The words are burying the meaning, but there's no meaning. What? Why? Did you hear that? It sounds like me, Mirio. I did so good inside Vadramus train. Sadujifin. Can't speak, I can't listen. 9EWU. Do Z with why we roof. She do you think I'll be normal again? Manhattan, man, so cool. Dude, why is this hair gray? This is no ordinary road. There's no road anymore, no long house, it's all gone.